everyone. So today I'm going to start the class with pie chart under the various methods of frequency distribution. So pie chart is a circle that is divided into different sections according to the percentage of the frequencies in each category. Each section displaying the size of some related information and shows the relationship of the part to the whole by comparing the size of the section. It is based on the concept that 360 degree is whole of anything. As you people know, the whole of the circle is equal to the 360 degree, and this 360 degree is divided into the various section, and each section displays some information. Okay, we can display the information in form of the angles or in form of the percentage. Both methods are acceptable and give the same results. Now next is how to draw the pie chart. For that I am going to take the example. In a school, there are 750 students in first year, 420 in second year, 630 in third year. Then you have to draw the pie chart to represent the number of students in these groups. So what we should do? First of all, we should find out the total frequency. For that, how many students were in the first year? 750 plus in second year 420, in third year 630. So we got the total frequency, that is 1800. Now next we use the formula to calculate the angle of each. That is the class frequency divided by total frequency into 360 degree. So how we calculate the angle for each? So let's see angle for the first year. That is the class frequency is 750 divided by total frequency, that is 1800 into 360 degree. Then angle for the second year, class frequency is 420, total frequency 1800 into 360. Angle for the third year is class frequency is 630, then divided by the total frequency 1800 into 360 degree. So we get the particular angle for the particular section. 150 degree for the first year, 84 degree for second year, and 126 degree for third year. As we discussed that we can present the same information in form of the percentage. So instead of taking the 360 degree that we have already taken to calculate the angle, we should take the percentage, that is always from the out of 100. So we should calculate the percentage for the first year, that is the class frequency divided by total frequency into 100, and same we will proceed for the rest of the years. Now we calculated the angles. Now how to present that information in form of the circle or the pie chart? First of all, you have to draw the simple circle, then take the radius of the circle. Then you have to keep your protractor here and calculate the first angle. By keeping the protractor here, you have to calculate the first angle, that is 150 degree. After that you have to rotate your protractor and keep it here and calculate the second angle. Then rotate your protractor here and calculate the third angle. So in this way you can make a pie chart. It can be presented in form of the angle or in form of the percentage. Both are accurate methods. So move toward the next method, that is the frequency polygon. It is a graphical form of the representation of the data, and most of the properties of the frequency polygon resemble with the histogram, but it also have extra feature. And how we draw the frequency polygon? Here we will take the midpoint of each class of x-axis. Getting it? Midpoint of the each class of the x-axis are marked, and then it is obtained by joining the midpoint of the top. of the rectangles in the histogram. Just look at the picture. This is our histogram, and along the x-axis we will choose the midpoint in the each rectangle and then join all the midpoints by straight line to draw the frequency polygon. And it is not necessary that every time we have to draw the histogram to draw the frequency polygon. We can make the frequency polygon alone or along with the histogram. Then where we use the frequency polygon, it helps to outline the data pattern more clearly than histogram. Okay, move toward the next method. Next is the scattered or the dotted diagram. Scattered or the dotted diagram is used to show the nature of correlation between the two variables. So we use the dotted diagram to show the correlation between the two variables, and the first variable is the independent variable and second variable depends upon the first one. There are the other names of the dotted diagram like scattered plot, scattered graph, and the correlation chart. There are the different types of the scatter diagram like scatter diagram with no correlation, scatter diagram with moderate correlation, scatter diagram with strong correlation. Now we have to start with the scatter diagram with no correlation. You are looking at the picture, one point is here, the other point is there, as it is clear from picture that there is the no correlation between the two variables. So in this, the data points spread in so random manner that we cannot draw a line through them. Okay, so we can say there is no correlation between these variables. Like you can take example like the price of the coffee cup and the price of computer. You can say there is no correlation between the coffee and the computer. So we can take the other example like amount of the tea drunk in day and the level of the intelligence. There is no correlation between these. So this is the scatter diagram with no correlation. Then next is the scatter diagram with moderate correlation. Like the data points are a little closer, not far away, but it is little closer, and we can see that some kind of relationship exists. Not the full relationship in between them, but there is some kind of the relationship. So we can say it shows the moderate correlation. Then scatter diagram with strong correlation. Just look at the picture. It is very easy to draw the line. Okay, in this diagram the data points are very close to each other and can draw a line by following their pattern. So if one thing is increasing, other thing is also increasing. You can take number of example for this, like as the age is increasing, height is also increasing. So there is the strong correlation between them. Like when the designation is increasing, the salary is also increasing as well. The student who are hardworking more always get success. So these are the further examples which shows the correlation. When one variable is increasing, the second also increasing in that manner, and it shows the strong correlation. Now next is, what are the benefits of scatter diagram? Scatter diagram, it shows the relationship between the two variables. Okay, and it shows the range of the data flow. Okay, what is the maximum value and what is the minimum value we can easily determine. And the other thing is observation and the reading are totally straightforward. Okay, we can easily judge whether it is increasing or decreasing. We can judge by looking the picture. Then plotting the diagram is quite easy. And what are the limitations of the scatter diagram? Scatter diagram shows the correlation, but it doesn't show the exact extent of the correlation. How much they are correlated. We can say they are strongly correlated or the weak correlation is there, but at what extent there is the correlation, it doesn't show. So this is the one limitation. And the other limitation is it doesn't show quantitative measurement of the relationship. It only gives the quantitative expression, but it doesn't show the quantitative measurement. Okay, and the next, the chart doesn't show the relationship between more than two variables. Okay, then next method is the cumulative frequency curve or algebra. A curve that represents the cumulative frequency distribution of the grouped data on a graph is called the cumulative frequency curve or the algebra. If you remember what is the cumulative frequency distribution, then it is very easy to draw the cumulative frequency curve. So what is the cumulative frequency distribution? That is the sum total of the previous frequencies up to the current point. So when we draw it on the graph, it is known as the cumulative frequency curve. In this, we plot the cumulative frequencies on the y-axis and class boundaries along the x-axis. It is the better way to understand the data. So we can illustrate it with the help of example, like class intervals are given on one side and the frequencies are given on the other side. So first of all, we have to find out the cumulative frequency. Once we found the cumulative frequency for the every class, then it is very easy to draw the cumulative frequency curve. By looking at the picture, you can easily understand how to draw the cumulative frequency curve. Okay, then next is, what are the merits of the cumulative frequency curve? It helps to find out the median. Out of the given value, we can easily find out the median value, median. Okay, then it helps to make us understand that out of the number of data observation, how many lie below the particular range of data set. And it helps to make us understand that how the values within a particular data set change. So these are the various merits of the cumulative frequency curve. So it is the end of the today's class. Hope you understand. So stay home and stay safe. Thank you.